Hey guys, welcome to lesson 2, and we'll be continuing our discussion on one-dimensional motion, but now we're going to be talking about the y-axis. So we'll be discussing the equations, and then in the next 2 to 3 videos, we'll be doing a couple practice problems to kind of put everything together after we're done. So I'll be discussing the variables in all of these equations that everyone should memorize, and I'll be explaining any extra characteristics that are necessary uh, for one-dimensional motion for the y-axis. So as you can see, the first one is Vy is equal to Vy naught plus Ayt. So we can start off simple. So like last time, oops, let me get my pen. Yeah, so like last time, Vy represents final velocity. Similarly, Vy naught is initial velocity. Ay is acceleration in the, oops, in the y direction. So it's very important to make these distinctions clear, like that you're writing it as Vy and Vx, because once we move on to two-dimensional motion, you'll be combining many equations, and you want to make sure that you don't get confused where to plug in which variable. Anyways, moving on, again, time is just t. And something to note is that time is something that exists as a constant between both equations. So just keep that in mind for when we jump into two-dimensional motion. Y is final position. Y naught is initial position. So now you may be asking, what's G? Well, when we're discussing the y-axis, specifically in projectile motion, G represents gravity. So gravity is the acceleration that the Earth places upon a projectile being launched in the air. So gravity has a set value. So Ay is equal to gravity, or instead, it would be better to write gravity is equal to Ay, but specifically, it's equal to minus 9.81 meters per second squared. So why is it negative? So when we're talking about one-dimensional motion in the y-axis, your reference is that up is positive and down is negative. So if down is negative and the Earth is always pulling on objects downwards, that means that gravity itself must be a negative value. Therefore, it's negative in the purposes of this problem. So something to keep in mind once you're solving problems is that gravity is a constant that'll be there whether or not it is specifically mentioned. So a lot of the times if you're dealing with a projectile motion problem, if it's a problem on Earth, it's best to assume that gravity is playing a role in the problem, unless otherwise specified. Some examples of the otherwise specified would be if they're talking about throwing a ball on Jupiter. Jupiter, because it has a different mass, its gravity is different, and therefore it has a different constant. So just keep in mind when we're dealing with problems on Earth, gravity is a constant y uh, acceleration that you have to account for in every problem. So with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video where I'll solve level 1 problems. The video after that I'll solve level 2 problems. The video after that I'll solve level 3 problems, uh, in which we will finally end off with a quiz before moving on to 2D motion. I'll see you guys in the next one.